Why is that funny?
Because I went like this and you turned it on.
Oh. Who are you? Where do you work? Who do you work for?
My name is Jasmine Talbert. I work for the O'Donohoe Agency in Galveston, Texas.
And what are we talking about today?
We are discussing inland marine coverage.
And what the heck is inland marine insurance? Because I don't even know what that is.
So inland marine insurance is where you can schedule equipment for businesses or business personal property inside the businesses if you take it off premises.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean by schedule it?
So schedule it, you get your details of that item, the value of it, the description of it, and you schedule it onto the policy so you get guaranteed value for that item.
Okay. And this is not necessarily boats?
No, has nothing to do with water whatsoever.
Okay. And so you said, what exactly does it cover?
It covers contractors' equipment, business, personal property inside a business. So if you're like an antique store and you have to move your materials out of there to go to like an antique show or an auction, it covers that item when it's in transport or off premises from the business location.
So this is strictly business type insurance?
It's strictly mostly business, but it's more personal as well. So it goes on the personal lines for protecting like tractors and lawnmowers, golf carts, trailers, horse trailers, anything that you can use on a farm or ranch.
So what makes those different than like covering that under your house policy?
So your homeowners doesn't necessarily cover those items due to that they are there to use to maintain the land or move around livestock. They also help with the upkeep of the property. So most of the time they are not covered under the homeowners as an item individually, as long as, so for instance, if you store it in a barn and that barn is struck by lightning and catches on fire, it collapses on top of a tractor, then the homeowners would extend to the tractor after a claim investigation has been done to determine that the cause of it was the barn falling on top of it. But if it was just in the barn, it got overheated, a battery spark caused a fire on the tractor itself. If you didn't have it scheduled on an inland marine policy, your homeowners would not cover it.
So inland marine, they don't just have like regular tractor insurance?
No.
So it would be called inland marine insurance?
With our company, it would be an inland marine policy that we would use a broker to write that for you, but we would be the servicing agent to maintain that policy for you.
So this is any item or equipment to service or maintain your land?
Is also covered under inland marine, under personal use.
Oh, so it's also covered. So it's, I'm just trying to get a picture like exactly what it covers, you know. So like, does it cover a golf cart? Because that's not used to.
Yes. So
Okay.
You can schedule the golf cart on there as long as it's over $1,000. Once it's scheduled, then it does have coverage on that inland marine.
And what makes that different than just like, can you get golf cart insurance?
You can get golf cart insurance as well through another type of broker. But on that one, it does include liability, comp, collision, just like a typical auto policy would.
Okay. So then what makes the two like really distinct between?
So the distinction between them is on the inland marine, it does not include liability coverage. So if you were out driving your golf cart on the island and you hit a pedestrian and you had it scheduled on an inland marine only, there would be no liability coverage to protect that pedestrian.
So basically it's the difference between, is this piece of equipment going to leave your property or is it not?
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm guessing who should consider getting inland marine insurance then based on that?
Most of the time I offer it to any of my contractors that build houses or renovate houses, any of my plumbers. I also offer it to anybody that has a farm and ranch, most of the time because you use those items to maintain your property or even bring in passive income due to baling hay, mowing the grass, and you want all those items protected even from theft. So an inland marine policy also protects it if somebody comes on your property and steals your tractor.
How does that work with contractors? They move between job sites.
So it would extend to that as well. There is, like I said, you have to schedule it, any item over $1,000. So if that contractor had like a pressure washer apparatus and it was worth over $1,000, you would schedule it so you can get that guaranteed value on that piece of equipment, or you can write a blanket policy. And so while it is off premises, an inland marine also covers theft if somebody was to walk up on the job site and steal it out of the truck or
Okay, 'cause
trailer.
I was thinking like any kind of movable, like lawnmower, tractor, but like pressure washers is not a movable equipment. So like that, you couldn't even get a different policy. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes, so it could be a pressure washer, a welder, it could be a air tank, it can be your auxiliary tanks, anything used for welding.
Yeah, because
It
if it was
can,
stolen off a vehicle, your auto insurance doesn't cover that.
correct.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense actually.
That's a whole different line.
Are there any unique risks with inland marine insurance in Texas and coastal areas like Galveston?
So an inland marine in Galveston, Texas, you can use it up until like if there is an active hurricane in the Gulf and we put a lockdown on issuing policies, that'd be the only risk that would keep you from getting that type of policy is because we cannot extend coverage while we are under an active hurricane.
Let me ask you a question then. Being in Galveston, the humidity, the salt, how does the inland marine insurance work with rust?
So equipment breakdown, pretty much based off basic wear and tear, it would be subject to claim investigation at the time, and they would determine eligibility for that one.
Okay, so if the rust actually deteriorated it enough that it actually doesn't work anymore, then it would possibly be covered?
Correct.
Okay, but they don't cover it under auto.
They do not cover it under auto.
Interesting.
Yep.
I wonder what makes the distinction between the two.
Equipment breakdown is typically included within inland marines to where our auto policy does not include equipment breakdown and mechanical wear and tear.
They're classifying it between equipment and versus a vehicle's a different. It's not considered
Correct.
equipment
Correct.
unless you've got a commercial policy on that vehicle and now it's considered equipment.
Yes. So a commercial auto would extend to that.
Would it cover rust?
It would cover wear and tear from the salt in the air. But you have to report it immediately you start noticing it. You
Right.
can't just let it rust and completely rust out a hole in your floorboard because you were just lazy and didn't want to report it. So,
Interesting. So like I had one of my vehicles under a commercial policy just because we had the business and then we sold the business, so I swapped it to a regular auto policy because it was, well, back then it was cheaper. Now it's not. What property types are commonly protected under inland marine insurance? If any.
What do you mean by property types?
Mm,
Give me an example. Because
contractor tools, contractor equipment, fine arts, equipment hardware. I guess that covers under equipment. So I guess
Yeah.
they're defining it as a property type.
right. So
Is that when you schedule it? Is considered a property type or?
well, an inland marine is a very wide variety of items you can have scheduled. It doesn't just necessarily remain to one type of property or one type of piece of equipment. So you can schedule any type of collectibles, you can schedule jewelry, you can schedule farming equipment, you can schedule contractors equipment.
Let me ask you this. So I have a good friend of mine. His name's Taylor Burrell. He's a charter captain here, and they've got docks and they've got tools and stuff on their docks in a shed. But their boat insurance doesn't cover that. So would that need to be an inland marine insurance?
Yes.
And do y'all know if y'all have anybody covered under that over there?
On the docks, no, I do not know if anybody we have actively covered over there.
Okay. And then how would that work? So like say they have all their fishing rods and stuff in one of those, like how does the value, how do you schedule that? You know what I mean?
So you would just break down a list of all the items you would want scheduled on there. If they're over $1,000, anything else would go under a blanket coverage, which is a one lump sum amount of coverage for everything. And then anything over 1,000 would be scheduled. And the reason being is because those are more of a higher risk to be stolen. So they want to know the exact amount of those. Most time your deductible is 1,000. So most time anything that is under $1,000 wouldn't be covered anyways because your deductible is 1,000. So you'd be responsible for paying for
Right.
1,000, as opposed to those other scheduled items over $1,000 would
Let's say
have
like
payout.
usually when people steal stuff, they don't steal just one thing.
Right.
But like so like they had like 15 fishing poles in there totaling like $3,000, you know, and would it be each individual items or considered like a bundle thing?
If it's under a blanket, it'd be a bundle. If they're each scheduled, and as long as they're over $1,000, they would get that full
Okay,
benefit.
so you could do like a bundle amount for like say your locker.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. That's actually helpful. I'm actually I might call them just to see if they have that kind of insurance.
Well, you could call us here at the Galveston Insurance Agency.
He's not real big on talking to people. I don't know if you've ever been around too many boat captains, but they're not. I mean, they're friendly, but they're friendly with his customers, right? They're the ones who at the yacht basin bought a slip and then turned it into a 100% like tiki dock.
Oh, okay.
So you can't even pull a boat in there. It's just a dock now. What could happen if a Galveston business skips inland marine insurance entirely? Like chooses not to have it.
So if they choose not to have it and they have a business owner policy, the business owner's policy would protect their business property as long as it's at the business. The minute they walk away from that business with those items, there would technically be no coverage unless that policy had an endorsement or addendum to it of off-premises coverage.
Like vehicle theft and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there limits to how much or what kind of property can be covered?
No.
Oh, just straight no. Okay. Are there any special inclusions for seasonal type activities, or that just be, you either have a policy or you don't?
You either have a policy or you don't. If it's seasonal, you can get the policy while you're operating. And if for some reason you're only out during summertime because it's a tourist island, so you're out there on the beach trying to sell your merchandise, and then during the winter times you put it at your business and it never leaves, then technically you wouldn't need the inland marine, because as long as your business owner's policy is active, would cover that as long as it's at the
it'd be really
itself.
Interesting. So I've got Starlink internet on my truck, and I'm able to pause. It's like $160 a month, or I can pause it for $5 a month until I need it again. It'd be really cool if I could do that with seasonal click, pause and then unpause when I need it back. That'd be really helpful. Interesting. So if somebody's listening to this, there's an idea for you right there. Just make pausable seasonal insurance.
Yeah.
Because if nothing changes, there's no reason to have to go all the way back through creating the policy every single time. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Actually, I had to do that when I had my firearm business. Every year, I basically had to nothing changed, but I had to fill out all the same paperwork every year because the policies were only for a year long.
Yeah.
Because they were very difficult to get. How quickly can somebody get inland marine insurance coverage started?
They just give us a call here at the O'Donohoe Agency, and we work up the list of items that they want scheduled and the amounts, and we can typically get them a policy within 24 hours.
That's if they don't have any policies at all with y'all?
Correct.
Okay. What happens if your covered property under the inland marine insurance is damaged in an area outside of Texas?
It does extend.
Okay.
It doesn't just limit you to Texas. So if you're a contractor and you're going out of state, as long as you state on that policy your traveling distance one way, it would benefit up to that travel distance. So if you put on there that you were leaving state to go to Colorado and you say your one way furthest is 1,500 miles and you are at a hotel for the night and you have your equipment in the back of your truck waiting to go to job site next morning, it would be scheduled on that inland marine, would extend coverage.
So would I have to disclose I work out of state, or what if I just got a random call?
So you would have to disclose your furthest one-way location. And if you do any type of business out of state, you do need to put that on the policy. So that way, if you are out of state and there is a claim filed, they understand that you do business outside of the state of Texas.
Okay. Actually, I had a friend of mine that he had that happen to him in Amarillo. They stayed at a hotel.
It's very common.
They were headed to a trade show. What's typical, range of cost for an inland marine, even a small policy?
I can give you an example of one I've written.
Yeah.
I've done a contractor's equipment that had a pressure washer, an air tank for air hoses to run nail guns and stuff. I had all that scheduled with a 20,000 blanket on it for just his individual tools that were less than 1,000 that he just wanted a blanket coverage for. It ran about $450 a year. Now, the more value you add to the policy, the more premium's going to increase.
That's not bad at all. I mean, but what if somebody only needed it for 1 month? What does that policy look like?
So those are pay in full policies. I hardly ever see a monthly inland marine policy. And it depends on if it's premium earned. If it's premium earned, then you would not get a refund back. But if it's not premium earned, then you would get a refund of the unearned premium.
So then how would that work with seasonal? If somebody's only seasonal, can they just write a 6-month policy, or are they typically 1 year?
Typically, it's a 1-year policy.
Okay. So then how could somebody, I guess you just explained it, how to do seasonal. Now it would be unearned and earned, basically. Okay. That's helpful to know. As I just thought about that. I had a friend of mine, like they were going to a trade show and they got all their crap stolen out of the truck. And the auto insurance policy didn't cover any of it.
No. So your auto insurance only covers the damage that's caused to the vehicle if something is stolen. It doesn't cover the personal effects inside the vehicle.
Right. That makes sense.
So your homeowners or your renters or your condo, you would have to file 2 claims and be subject to 1 deductible because it's the same type of loss.
Right.
And it's at the same time. But your homeowners, your condo, and your renters would extend your personal property coverage up to 10% of coverage off premises.
This is a really helpful insurance coverage one. Like I don't know why I've literally never heard of it. Nobody's ever mentioned it before.
Most people don't mention it. I've met a few agents that will go into detail that specialize in commercial that will push the inland marine. But if you're not aware of it, or if you're a new seasoned agent, you're not going to know much about it. It's a very back end policy. And as long as you have knowledge, you can offer it or just dig in those questions out of our customers, which we do here. We try to get everything. We try to see everything, the big picture, the whole value of everything. And then we kind of just pinpoint you in the direction we think you would service you best.
I guess it's too, like most people are concerned on like non-business insurance most of the time, I guess, right? Auto, home, like it's typically not a business owner.
Right. So inland marine is typically titled under a commercial line, but you can use it for personal lines. And if you don't know that, if you're not familiar with commercial or you're not licensed to sell commercial insurance, then you wouldn't have access to that inland marine.
Okay. Yeah, this is like, I've got people I'm going to call today and be like, hey, did you get one of these? You probably should get one of these. Actually, like my friend that I'm talking about, I was talking to him this morning. He's going out of state this weekend. And I'm like, what happened last time?
Yep.
What support does the O'Donohoe agency offer clients if they purchase inland marine insurance?
So we do offer customer service support. We do service the policy for them. We will reach out to that broker directly if they need to make any changes or add any other equipment to it as they get bigger and bigger with their business, or just buy a new piece of equipment and need it scheduled. They can just call us here at the O'Donohoe agency and we would get that taken care of for them.
Instead of handling it directly with the broker? Mm-hmm. Okay. Why should businesses choose a local Galveston agency instead of a national company or just the cheapest insurance they can find?
We specialize in coastal policies. We also know the risk being local and knowing firsthand how those hurricanes hit and affect everything. So we're able to pinpoint you in the direction that best suits your needs.
Makes plenty of sense. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about inland marine that people don't touch on that's maybe pertains a little bit more to the local community here?
Yeah. Just give me a call and we can see if it's covered. And then we can write it for you. That way you at least have coverage. Because with us being a tourist island, we have multiple companies that will go out there and wagons and trucks and sit on the side of the seawall and offer to sell their merchandise or hand out. There's a honey vendor that's off the seawall. That's not going to be covered if he does not have an inland marine. His business owner's policy probably would not extend. He probably doesn't even have coverage to protect those items.
I go down to Surfside sometimes during the summer and like there's all those people with those wagons and stuff down there, like fruit stands, and I bet none of them have coverage for any of that. But I mean, nobody's going to steal your stuff while you're using it, I guess.
You'll be surprised. Some people, you go to Walmart and people will slide things in their pocket. If you get a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of tourists at one stand trying to buy something, somebody could slip something in their pocket. And if you don't have off-premises coverage for your merchandise against theft, then you won't be able to receive value for that back.
Makes sense. Is there anything you'd like to say to end the video? I'm terrible at ending videos sometimes.
No, not really.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you, Jasmine, for your time. And I've actually learned a lot today.
You're welcome. Anytime.